Okay, let's start with the benefits and harm element of the ASEC tool. So as you might guess, benefits aspect is positive and applies when the community feels it is gaining advantage from the company's operations. In contrast, harms refer to negative impacts such as environmental damage or insufficient social investment, which make the community feel unsupported. So with these elements, we assign values. The company has always has a zero value because the ASEC tool measures the social license to operate, not the company's own performance. That's why the company is always neutral or zero. The communities within the area of influence receive a value of 1, depending on whether they benefits or are damaged. Communities near the area of influence receive a value of 2, also depending on whether they benefits or are harmed. Finally, communities in the operational area or territory receive a value of 3, depending on whether they experience benefits or harms. As you can see in the benefits and harms element has the same prompts as the community's position elements. They are strongly correlated or very similar. Why? Because in the community's position element, we have identified whether the community is for or against the company. Similar in the government's elements, we have identified the government's stance. However, we haven't noted the benefits or harms they receive. That is the information we will add in these elements to complete the ASEC tool. So let's remember the definitions of the prompts inside the community's positions. So the company needs to define the area of influence carefully, taking into account environmental or social factors. Within this area of influence, some communities are directed located inside, for example, Community 1 and Community 2 here. The company usually works with these communities on social projects that benefit their members. These communities are assigned a value of 1. And then there are communities near the area of influence, but usually are not considered for social projects by the company. For example, community 3 and 4. These communities are assigned a value of 2. Finally, some communities are far away, but they still experience impacts, especially from the company's logistic operation, mineral transportation, and storage and export facilities. For example, Community 5, 6, and 7. These communities has a value of 3. Now, the rule is simple. The farther a community is from the company's core operation, the higher its value. Okay, now let's go to our case study. We have presented the case study in previous videos. Okay, we are in a mining project in Australia. In this, the company wants to open a gold mine in the Goldfields region, and the component that generates a conflict were two. The company was using the community land without permission, and they have lack of community engagement. So we have identified the stakeholders involved, we have identified the stakeholders activity, the global resources uses in the conflict, what dialogue mechanisms were used. We have completed so far, and here we have the information until community involvement. Okay, now what benefits or harms stakeholders have received in this stage? So we have two main stakeholders. The company always has a value of 0 in this element because again, the ASEC tools measures the social license to operate, right? social license approval or social license acceptance. So that's why the local government is one stakeholder that maybe receive some damage or harm. Also, the community you see is opposed the company, is negative here, and the NGO doesn't receive any damage or benefits. So that's why we have two elements. Let's say the government. For example, the government is local government, is inside the area of influence, usually inside the area of influence. That's why we have one are not receiving private investment for social projects. So the local government is not receiving private investment, and they are not wasting, they are not using the public investment for social projects. On the other hand, we have the community. The community is inside the area of influence. That's why it has a value of 1. And the harms are the land was taken by the company without compensation. So as you see here, we are completing the information. Once you have identified the stakeholders, either the government element or the community position element, you need to complete the information in the benefits and harms elements, ensuring that they match. This means that if either the government or community is in favor or against, the company corresponding benefits or harms should be reflected in that position. As you see here in this, they are opposed. Both are opposed because they receive or they are receiving harms. As you see here, they should be aligned. You have opposition here, it means harms. You have benefits, it means if they are in favor because they receive benefits. Let's see the next slide. In this slide, this is the conflict resolution stage. Here we have the same case as you see here. Now let's complete the lag element. Again, in this case, we have the conflict resolution stage, and what are the benefits received by the local government. In this case, the local government receives social projects using public and private investment, because remember here in this, there is a partnership with the local government, between the company and the local government. That's why they receive social projects using public and private investment. And the local government is inside the area of influence. That's why we have +1, positive for benefits and 1 for the location. Then the community, they receive the compensation they were looking for, and also they receive investment in social projects. Finally, they receive community development, and this has a value of +1. Remember, again here, they should be aligned with the government's stance and community's position. If they are in favor, that's why they are receiving benefits.